You've probably heard something like this already. AI passed the bar exam, AI can write legal briefs, AI just saved a Fortune 500 company $3 million in legal fees. So naturally, your brain goes, okay, so should I still go to law school? This is the fear talking. And it's not stupid. This is actually a smart question to ask. If technology is evolving this quickly, you've got to understand what it means for your career before you commit years of your life and possibly $200,000 or more in tuition and living expenses. So let's break it down. The question, will AI replace lawyers, isn't really about job titles. It's about value. In every industry disrupted by AI, we've seen the same pattern. Low-skill repetitive work is gone forever. High-skill, high-trust work becomes more valuable. And law is no different. So if you're planning to enter this field thinking, I'll just do what everyone else does and I'll be fine, you're already behind. But if you're asking instead, how can I be the kind of lawyer that thrives in an AI-powered world? Now you're playing the right game. And here's why that matters. Even before AI came on the scene, law wasn't just about memorizing precedent and filing motions. The best lawyers were the ones who thought differently, the ones who anticipated client needs before the client even spoke, the ones who solved problems others couldn't even define, and the ones who saw patterns in chaos and built strategy around them. So now, with AI entering the picture, those traits aren't just nice to have, they're non-negotiable, because AI can do tasks, but your clients are going to pay you for judgment. That's where you come in. Yes, you're going to need to adapt. And yes, the field is shifting. But that's not a warning sign. That's a green light. The profession isn't shrinking, but it is leveling up. And if you level up with it, the opportunities are going to be bigger than ever. So don't just ask, will AI replace lawyers? Ask, what kind of lawyer do I need to become so AI can't touch me? That's the real question, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The good news is that AI isn't coming for your dream job. It's coming for your least favorite tasks. Think about all the grunt work that makes new associates question their life choices. Redlining 37 versions of the same contract. Copy-pasting case law excerpts into memos. Summarizing 400 pages of discovery into a 5-slide deck. You know the stuff that makes you think, I didn't go to law school for this. That's what AI's handling now. And honestly, thank God, because nobody wins when top legal talent is stuck doing work that a machine can do faster and better. According to the 2024 Future of Professionals report, AI is saving lawyers up to 4 hours per week. That's the equivalent of over $100,000 per year in billable time per lawyer. Imagine walking into your partner's office and saying, hey, I found a tool that'll give us an extra $100,000 of capacity per associate. Also, it doesn't complain, doesn't take coffee breaks, and doesn't ask about bonuses. You would be promoted by lunch. And that's exactly how law firms are thinking. They're not looking to downsize, they're looking to optimize. Because here's what law firms and clients don't want. They don't want slower turnarounds, higher costs, or a generic work product. And AI helps cut all of that, which means that lawyers who know how to work with AI, not against it, will be the ones firms lean on for real results. So if the old model was, I do everything manually and bill by the hour, the new model is, AI handles the inputs and I deliver the insight. That's the game now. And if you're not playing that game, if your only skill is doing things that AI can automate, you're not just less valuable, you're going to be vulnerable. But if you bring the kind of analysis, synthesis, and communication AI can't touch, you're not going to be at risk, you're going to be in demand. So let's get something out of the way. Yes, AI can write faster than you, and it can summarize faster than you. It can even cite cases faster than you. But here's what it can't do. It can't read a room. It can't know when your client is panicking, but pretending they're fine. And it can't choose between two legally correct options based on business context. In other words, AI doesn't think, it processes. But lawyering is about thinking, about judgment, strategy, timing, tone. It's knowing when to say, this is legally sound, and when to say, yes, but here's what they're really trying to accomplish. And according to that same report, 59% of legal professionals say AI helps handle large volumes of legal data more effectively. In other words, AI is not making the decisions, it's helping you make better ones. It's like having an associate who never sleeps, never takes vacations, and never insists on putting everything in 12-point Times New Roman. It's a tool, but it still needs a pilot. And clients don't pay for tools, they pay for advisors. They're going to want someone they trust, someone who understands the nuance of their situation, not just the law, but how it plays out in real life. Someone who can say, yes, that clause is enforceable, but here's what it's going to signal to the other side. And that kind of insight, AI can't replicate it. And that's exactly why you need to be the one in the room, not just reading the contract, but interpreting it, translating it, and guiding the client through what it actually means. So yes, AI is here, but it's not your competition. It's your leverage if you know how to use it. Now, here's a mistake I see way too many future lawyers make. They hear AI is changing the legal field, and they assume that means it'll be easier to stand out. It's not. What's actually happening is more subtle and more demanding. The baseline is shifting. In the old world, you could graduate from a decent law school, land a job, and spend your first year reviewing documents or writing memos that barely saw the light of day. You learned on the job, you ramped up slowly, and you had a few years to figure things out. But now, AI already handles a lot of that ramp-up work. It drafts faster, it summarizes faster, and it even makes basic recommendations. So when you show up with nothing but the ability to Google things and write a competent email, that's not impressive anymore. That's table stakes, and that's something that ChatGPT can do. What's impressive is when you show up ready to think strategically from day one. And that's not just my opinion. It's backed by the numbers. In that same 2024 report I mentioned earlier, they said 72% of legal professionals now see AI as a force for good. And a growing number say it's allowing them to focus on the reason they became lawyers in the first place, the hard thinking, the strategy, and the people side of law. So ironically, AI is bringing the legal profession closer to its core. It's getting rid of the noise and pushing you to develop the skills that really matter. But here's the twist. Because AI is making everything faster, expectations are going up across the board. Clients want more value delivered faster. Firms want associates who can contribute real insight, not just reword the brief. And law schools are getting pickier too. They want proof that you can handle complexity, that you can think critically, that you can perform under pressure. And that's why your LSAT score has never mattered more. It's not just a test, it's a signal. It says, I can play at this level. I don't just want in, I belong here. Give me ambiguity, pressure, and deadlines, and I'll deliver clarity and results. In a world where AI can write a decent paragraph in 3 seconds flat, human insight is the new premium, and the LSAT is your first public test of whether you have it. The bar didn't go away, it just moved higher up, and your job is to rise with it. Let's zoom out for a second. Law isn't just changing on the surface. It's not just, now we use AI for research instead of interns. We're also seeing deep structural shifts, especially in how lawyers get paid and what firms are willing to pay for. The big trend is that hourly billing is on the decline. According to that same report, 43% of legal professionals believe the traditional billable hour model is on its way out over the next 5 years. Why? Because it makes no sense in a world where AI can do a week's worth of work in a single afternoon. Think about it. Clients used to pay you for time. They would say, this took 10 hours, here's your $4,000. Now they're asking, wait, your AI assistant did most of this, so why am I still paying for 10 hours? You see the problem. As the value of time decreases, the value of judgment, creativity, and results goes up. Clients don't want to pay for hours, they want to pay for outcomes. And that shift changes everything. Instead of grinding through 60-hour weeks to meet billable targets, the best lawyers will be the ones who solve problems quickly and well, who make smart calls under pressure, spot issues before they explode, can build trust with clients and teams, and lead projects that combine people, tech, and law. And this isn't just theory. It's already happening. We're seeing entirely new legal roles pop up, and they look nothing like the ones your parents' lawyer had. We're seeing AI implementation managers, legal data analysts, AI ethics specialists, and strategic advisors. And the most in-demand skills for these roles? Not writing memos, not memorizing statutes, not grinding out 80-hour work weeks in a doc review dungeon. Instead, we're seeing creativity, flexibility, empathy, communication, and sound decision-making as the core skills that are truly valued. In other words, it's about the human stuff, the stuff that doesn't show up in a search query. So the legal profession is evolving fast. And if you're only preparing for the old job descriptions, you're going to show up dressed for the wrong decade. But if you're building the kind of thinking that law firms, clients, and even new roles actually require, you're not just employable, you're going to be considered essential. And you're building a career that can survive whatever tech comes next. Now, I'll admit, AI is intimidating. Even the most seasoned attorneys are having that moment of panic, wondering if some robot is about to take their job, their clients, or their corner office. So, you're not crazy for feeling this. You're smart for asking the hard questions now before you've even stepped foot into a law school classroom. But here's the part the panic headlines leave out. The people who are already in the field aren't truly freaking out. They're adapting. According to the data, 96% of legal professionals say AI should never be allowed to fully represent a client in court. And most believe that human insight will always be essential when AI is involved in any legal matter. That tells you everything you need to know. AI isn't a takeover, it's a tool shift. It's like going from a shovel to using a backhoe. If you know what you're doing, you're going to get a lot more done a lot faster. And if you don't, well, let's just say that nobody wants to be run over by their own technology. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't real risks. There are. We're talking about serious ethical questions. What if AI hallucinates a fake legal precedent? Who's liable when the machine gets it wrong? And what about client data and privacy? The legal world is grappling with all of this in real time. That's why there are entire new fields being built around AI ethics and legal tech regulation. But even with all this complexity, one thing remains true. This is still a human profession. Law has always been about trust. And no algorithm, not even the really fancy ones that can do a dead-on impression of Scalia, can replicate trust. What will disappear, though, is the gray area. The people who skated by, who graduated law school, took on 6 figures of debt, and never really pushed themselves to get better. They're going to find it hard to compete. Because now, you can't just do the job. You've got to do it better, smarter, and faster with AI, not against it. So if you're nervous, good. That means you care. That means you're paying attention. But don't let it freeze you. Let it focus you. This is your chance to ask, what skills do I need to build now so I'm indispensable later? Because in this new era of law, coasting by is dead. But serious, thoughtful, driven students, you're about to be more valuable than ever. So let's zoom all the way back to you. Not the legal industry, not AI, but you. You're probably somewhere between, I think I want to go to law school, and, oh God, I've got to start studying for the LSAT. And you're asking yourself, what can I actually do right now to set myself up for success in this new AI-powered legal world? And here's the answer. Start signaling your value before you ever write your first law school essay, because schools are watching. They're not just asking, can this person survive 1L? They're asking, can this person succeed in the legal market we're sending them into? And the first big signal they look at is your LSAT score. That number isn't just about admissions. It's about credibility. It tells law schools, I can handle complex arguments. I can think clearly under pressure. I have the raw skills firms want before you've even taught me a thing. And here's why that matters in an AI world. The LSAT doesn't test your ability to memorize. It tests the stuff AI can't do. Abstraction, logical consistency, flexibility of thought. That's why top law schools still care so much. Not because they're obsessed with test scores, but because they know firms are obsessed with thinking skills. And they know the people who crush the LSAT are the ones most likely to survive in a high-stakes, high-change environment. So while everyone else is panicking about whether AI is going to take their jobs, you can quietly be over here saying, cool, I'll just become the kind of lawyer no AI could ever replace, starting with my LSAT score. Because the truth is, by the time you get to law school, tools, the expectations, and the landscape will already have shifted again. The best thing you can do right now is to build the kind of brain that stays relevant no matter what's changing. And the LSAT is your first real shot to prove that you're already on that path. The LSAT still decides who gets in, who gets scholarships, and who gets left behind. It's not fair, it's not a perfect test, but it's real. And here's how much is on the line. A few extra points can be the difference between $250,000 in debt and a full ride, between a regional law school and a top 14, between fighting for a job after graduation and having offers before 2L is over. And that all hinges on one thing: your ability to crush a test that's specifically designed to be hard, annoying, and unfamiliar. But, and this is the good news, you can train for it. Because unlike law school exams or the bar, the LSAT doesn't test content. You don't need to memorize a single statute. It tests how you think, how you read, how you analyze, and how you adapt. Those are exactly the traits law firms want in a world where everything is moving faster and expectations are higher. In other words, the LSAT isn't some outdated relic. It's a proxy for how you handle ambiguity, pressure, and complexity. And that's exactly what real law is all about. So while some people are still arguing over whether the LSAT should be required or whether AI is going to make the whole thing obsolete, you're going to be over here saying, doesn't matter. I'm going to use this test to stand out, and I'll let my score do the talking. Because if law school is the gateway to a legal career, the LSAT is the key. And in a competitive, AI-powered, value-driven world, you want the sharpest key you can get. So let's finally answer the question we started with. Will AI replace lawyers? No, not the good ones, not the thoughtful ones, not the ones who bring insight, judgment, and leadership to the table. But will AI replace lawyers who just follow templates, can't adapt, and expect their degree to do the heavy lifting? Yeah, it probably will. Because AI is changing the game, not by removing lawyers, but by removing average. In the old model, you could coast. You could graduate, do solid but unspectacular work, and still carve out a stable career. But now, you've got to prove you belong. You've got to think faster, solve better, and deliver more value than ever before. This isn't scary. This is a filter. It separates the ones who are just checking boxes from the ones who are building something real. So here's the move. Don't play defense. Don't wait around to see where things land. Step up now, learn how to think, not just study. Master the skill set that keeps you relevant, competitive, and unshakable. Because the future of law won't belong to AI, and it won't belong to people who coast. It'll belong to people who are already acting like professionals, before the JD, before the first client, before the first paycheck. And if that's you, you don't need to fear the future, you're already ahead of it.